Good evening, everybody, and we have our first student team and our first student game to be interviewed this evening. Now, I must declare a little bit of bias here. I was their supervisor, and it is an amazing game, which has nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Mark Lestrange, and we have, from my right...
My name's Callum. I did kind of 3D modeling UI for the game.
My name's Andy. I was the character artist and writer.
I'm Willem, and I was the designer, artist, and the duct tape bringing things together.
And what's your team name and your game name?
We are Bitcrush Studios, and our game is called Fatalware.
Brilliant. Okay, now I've played this game and it is incredibly difficult. So should we ask you a couple of questions first before we go straight on to playing the game? Because I'd see how much you concentrate doing it.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting game. It's kind of a speed run type game, but you'll see that in a minute. Now, can you tell me what's the most exciting thing about your game?
Definitely the speed.
The speed, going fast is definitely, the objective. But for me, I would say adapting old tech has been especially fun and exciting to make a world with. So I'm very happy with what we made.
What was the biggest challenge in you achieving that goal?
Making it approachable for all ages, I would say. A lot of stuff is either too dated and boring or too recent and therefore not cool anymore. So.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think your game really does. I mean, it caters for me and it caters for like 12-year-olds. My son would love it, and I love it. So I think it's got a really broad age range, and that's a really good thing to appeal to. I think that's really good. When you first had this idea, did it come to you in a ball of light, or did it evolve, and how did it evolve?
I think it started from our original sprint racing, wasn't it?
So Fatalware as an idea was created as a team in a first sprint, as we had to make a world. But the original idea I actually came up with in the toilets at work, and that was just to have a game inside a computer that has all of these, classic.
I think that's the traditional place to come up with one's best ideas.
Usually is, yeah.
From back in Greek times. I think there's some tradition.
Yeah. Sat down and everything.
So can you tell me a little bit more about your roles going along the line? So what did you do, and what skills did you have to learn that weren't your primary skill? So start off with, yep.
So I did the kind of like the Unity work for this menu screen, and before then, like as a games artist, I'd never done Unity, so it was quite a challenge getting things to work. You have like the start button that like pops up. That took me way longer than it should have, just because I'm not used to doing it. Just I guess learning how to work on like a longer game production, because I'm mainly used to doing game jams and stuff.
Right. Okay. And what about yourself, Andy?
For me, it was difficult to adapt a load of tweened animations. Usually, I signed on as a character artist, so I was used to 3D. So doing a load of like all of the 2D UI animations was a bit mad for me. I had to learn how to make sprite sheets, and it's not the usual kind of animation I'm used to.
Yeah.
But it was a hell of a lot of fun trying to get to grips with it and making it work in Engine,
Yeah.
which I think we can both agree was a bit hellish.
Yeah, definitely. Traditionally, I'm a environment and prop artist, but due to our lack of designer, I took that role and everything that comes with it, really. So it's been a long road of learning Unity, but I can say I'm pretty confident with the software now, and I wasn't at the start of the project. So
Yeah.
there's that I'm thankful for.
Okay. Now, do they say one of the most difficult things is talking and walking when you're on camera? I'm going to ask you to play and talk. Do you want to boot this up and let's see it? Talk us through it when you're doing it. I mean, all three of you, really. Talk us through it. Tell me what's happening in the game, and maybe while you're giving us a blow-by-blow important moments, you can talk us through what's behind it, and maybe you can point out some Easter eggs that are behind it. Because I know, there's a lot of little references here, which are really lovely. So let's hear it from the three of you, all at the same time, but in turns. Go for it, William.
So to start off, you've got this menu. If you've seen this hill before, you've been on a Windows computer. This is Callum's recreation of it, but we wanted to blend sort of Mac, classic Windows XP together. To start the game, you actually execute the main character, which is a virus called Byte under the software Imperial, or Imperia. So I'll launch that and go into our cinematic.
Zest OS. The finest of horrific 90s technology.
Yeah, really a culmination of everything. You've got the Mojasoft there,
Don't sue
Microsoft
us.
reference. Zest, Apple, everything. So that intro screen just sort of shows the Byte character being executed and ran. That's the intro of the game, and he's got his clear instructions to reign supreme. How you do that, you have to figure out as you go through the game. So immediately as you come through here, you'll encounter the first immovable door, and that's where you encounter one of our first characters.
I wonder who this shadowy figure could be.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the Windows animated helpers, which were, I'd say, infamous in their day. Rather than famous, infamous.
Infamous, definitely.
A big inspiration for our character writing was massively all of the old Microsoft Bob browser buddies, as well as famous malware pieces, which you will encounter.
So our main side character here, Perry, who is our favourite, I'll be honest.
He's my person favorite.
He is based on Clippy, a Windows assistant who no one really liked.
No copyright infringement intended.
No, this is Perry.
It's full on parody.
Parody.
As well.
Very much a parody.
Full on parody.
It's from Mojasoft.
I suppose we could say it's a pastiche, if you want to get technical.
So you team up with Perry here, as Perry is sort of the technical side and you're the brawn. And we'll see that in this first interaction here with one of Andy's excellent animated segments. Perry has lied about the door. He can't open it, not without, your
Because he's awful.
brawn. Yeah, there's our little lockpick animation there, just to showcase.
Wow, who's this?
Who's this little friend? Scream if you know him.
So Bazabongo's inspired by Bonzi Buddy, a really quite sleazy piece of tech that stole data and sold it on to make fortunes. If you know old internet memes, you might know him from that, but other than that, he's just another infamous, piece
Probably
of...
the most famous browser buddy out there.
Yeah. If you fall off, Perry will be quick to say,
Perry does
it's not how
pull on
you
this game.
carry on through the game.
Yeah, he's not very polite, is he?
No, he's not. We actually toned him down for EXPO. He was a lot worse, I promise.
So you have an adult and a
It's lost
PG
media.
version, right?
Lost
okay.
media. Perry cusses you out for missing jumps.
Yeah.
Fatalware 2, perhaps. I wanted to highlight this area because this is our first secret. This sort of shows, how big the map can actually be. There is more than meets the eye. So within these secret areas, for the lore readers, there are big bits of document that will tell you what's actually going on. I won't go over them too much, but I will show you that lovely graphic there and the sort of Riddler-inspired secret.
If you've ever played games like Quake or Doom, the secret collecting is also a big part of what we adapted.
Yeah, we really wanted to hone in on those classic
Massively.
titles.
One of our biggest inspirations was Half-Life, and I'm a big Half-Life fan, so I was quite happy with this.
Yeah, I can see you're quite a Half-Life fan looking at your arm.
Yeah, just a bit. just a bit. I'm just a fan of games from the 90s that haven't aged too well.
Walking into this area, you'll notice the McAfee logo there, based off of McAfee. It's hard to say why we've given McAfee such a platform here. I sort of put him in as a joke because my dad was a handyman and a general tech guy, and one of the things he taught me immediately upon getting a new computer is to wipe it of all antiviruses. So I have a bit of a hatred for those naturally. McAfee very quickly becomes the antagonist of this level, as he is in charge of the virus protection. And as you were a virus, you can't get through.
Yeah, back in the day, they were like the ultimate bloatware.
Oh,
Yeah,
massively.
really just.
You
clogging
need to
your
pay
system
for the
up.
full version of McAfee.
We also have a punch.
Yep.
That'll
for
come
the
in handy
punching
later.
needs. So we're going to go and head forward to the McAfee area. But first, there is actually another secret here, and that would be Perry's lair. Somewhere we've really stacked out with a lot of art because it's just a funny character and he's fun to work around, really.
A lot of our playtesters really responded well to Perry, so
Yeah.
we tried to build him out a bit more and make him
Yeah.
feel a bit more.
So you got the
fleshed
made by
out.
Callum there. That's this Perry's hate mail mailbox. You've got a few post-it notes made by Andy. Perry isn't a fan of Basil Bongo. They are enemies of a kind, I suppose. A few references to us here, just with the files, cheeky stuff. We've got another bit of lore, and actually a dartboard with.
Yeah, we did put Bill Gates on the dartboard. And something I still can't believe we put in.
No, can we go back to that? I think that's my favourite part of the game. That
He has a printed image of it. as
I
well.
actually printed that off the demo day, yeah.
That's paperclip in a bikini.
Yeah, moving on, we'll get to McAtee's area. This is the workplace of McAtee.
See, what you're not seeing here is how fiendishly difficult this game is. But apparently you've made it a bit easier. But I mean, I guess
We have.
This bit's completely different, you'll see.
yeah, on these these balance beams. I took about 20 attempts to get through.
We do like to reward players who have a look around because
It's still difficult. It's still difficult.
what we try to do is just leave little Easter eggs everywhere, little things that you could look at. Like we've got propaganda posters, we've got Perry's own wanted poster in there that reveals that he was actually wanted for public indecency. Naturally. I mean, paperclips can't wear clothes, right?
They can wear bikinis.
You
though.
can wear
They can,
bikinis.
they can. You got me there. You got me
Maybe
there.
he was the one in the bikini.
Ooh. I'm getting a little bit of input delay, but maybe that's an excuse.
No, it's fiendishly difficult, believe me. It's very hard.
No, yeah, it's really the hardest thing to tweak in the game has been difficulty.
And that clock does give an element of additional tension.
Oh yeah, actually let's remove that tension.
Okay.
We
No,
do
yeah,
have a
we do have
leaderboard set
other
up in
ones,
the
Okay,
studio.
right. So
Here is-
when you play the game, you can see how fast you can get through it.
The fastest
I'm
we've
sure
got
you'll-
is 150.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow,
that
that
was-
is quick.
Yeah.
I think I took that to just climb up the first set of... Yeah, anyway, let's move on. Yeah.
Here's McAtee, the
There he
antagonist. He is snobby as always, very punchable, which we'll get to, and yeah, just a general nuisance, hoarding you for.
Is that a Games Academy logo I see on
No.
the...
That is.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
us a trophy.
quickly added yesterday. I wanted to pay attention to the 10 years, so I made it goals, and there is an extra detail that we'll get to once I'm out of this text box.
What do we think, guys?
Yeah, so McAtee gives you an offer. We don't have dialogue in this game, so we resolved it by adding the punch.
If you don't like things, you can just punch them in the face, it turns
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, the Games Academy sort of trophy there is also punchable. It's not meant to phase through the wall, but that
Hang
just
on,
sort of
hang on.
showcases quite.
Doug isn't watching this, is he? I'm just checking we haven't got the dean
McAtee has a
watching
statue
you
of his
punch
own as
the...
well.
McAtee laden in gold with his pecs out, naturally.
And with that, we actually have gotten access to the firewall now, so we are actually able to continue. So that requires a little bit of backtracking, but through a different area, which will have, if I can make it, which will have
See,
a
it's not
showcase.
just me, it's the game
No,
designer
it is,
as well.
it is
okay.
difficult. That's why McAtee's punchable. I mean, after doing this parkour, you need to bring your anger out on something.
Rip and tear until it's done.
Yeah,
The parkour,
yeah,
that is. I was ripping and tearing my hair out trying to finish it.
So this takes you down to Bazabongo's lair.
Here he is.
Represented with his...
You just knocked over his
I've
decor.
knocked over his decor there. He has additional lore there and a bowling ball. Not anymore. But don't worry, you
Miss.
can still punch these.
You can still punch them.
And they do dent for added satisfaction. Why not? Also quite fun to slide around in the virus incinerator. This actually connects back to the start of the level, where you can see viruses being scanned and dropped into this if they are malicious.
We did have a lot of fun with this virus incinerator, actually. As it turns out, in earlier builds of the game, when we were still working out the physics of the sliding mechanic, you could just slide around in it constantly and reach speeds not known to man.
Yeah, kind of still there with these ramps. I'll give a hint to the speedrunners who want to give it a go. You can just skip that bit. Ramps with speed equals height. Just an unintended addition to our movement. Yeah, so now we're back here. We should be able to continue back through to the generator to open up the shortcut to the desktop, which is the next level.
This is the first bit of like super speedy, insane parkour that you have to finish.
Oh, which I will try and do gracefully. But yeah, game's hard.
The game is difficult, that is true. So essentially this part is all about building up speed as much as possible and seeing how much air control you can have. We tried to make the player feel really excited when we were doing this. I remember when I was leading playtests, I did a lot of the QA, and I was always trying to pick out what players were like reacting to and how they would like jolt out of their seat. And I found that whenever players were playing this section and trying to go as fast as possible with the sliding, they were just, some of them were literally quite literally off their seats.
Yeah, no, I'm
like-
not even playing it, and I'm
Yeah.
doing this at the moment.
Yeah,
That's what we want the players
jumping
to
in
feel.
my seat.
I'm assembling into a gamer pose now as I try and
Oh, you're gonna have a
not
bad back
embarrass
there,
myself in front of my entire house.
You've got to lock in. And the entire screen.
And the stream, yeah. I'm trying not to think about that part.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so
you've got the key.
There's the second key. And that takes you through to our original parkour segment. This has lasted through every build. James's involvement. This is his parkour section. It's sort of a, to get nerdy, transformation from fruitige aero aesthetic, which is Mac and Windows and such, to Vaporwave, which is a lot more popular now, due to
It was 2016. It was a different
2016
time.
music and
Yeah,
culture, really.
I'm definitely going to chirp in. See, it wasn't just me.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Finds it hard.
I know you have a grudge against this
I
level.
do.
We
It's so
tried.
difficult.
We even switched out the jump pads for teleporting.
As a
pads.
Half-Life aficionado, that really, I thought I would have no problem with this, to be frank, but no, it's
Wasn't
really
ready
difficult.
for Gordon sliding.
No, Gordon Freeman
We'll do
in
that.
Half-Life 3 he slides.
No, I'm trying to work off the armrest here. It's the best of my ability.
I don't know if you guys can hear the synthwave though.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of synthwave.
We do
going
have
on.
a
Yeah, just a
synthwave
little in the
track.
background, yeah.
Just a little, it's like a little ASMR. Tickles you while you play.
Okay.
Nearly
No,
there.
not happening.
No! Yeah, it is pretty tricky, but we have found speedrunners in some of the playtests. This was the hardest part for us to balance. Because some people in playtests, what they would do is they would barely make it to the first hurdle, whereas other players would just immediately zip past in about 30 seconds and reach the end of the level.
Oh.
So the trickiest thing for us to balance was seeing how much fun players could have while still making it like a challenging experience.
Sure, yeah.
And trying to keep that sense of verticality and speed that we wanted to do in that little demo test area that you had earlier.
Yeah, so the speed aspect really comes to light in this section, but we've got these speed lines, and with the audio, it actually has like an increasing wind sound effect, so it really does hammer in on the speedy part for the player. That was a big focus.
If you've ever played CS,
okay.
so close. I was going to say, if you've ever played CS:GO surfing, just imagine you have a knife here. And that pretty much was it. A lot of actually people in playtests, we had a school that came over to playtest the game, and immediately, as soon as one of them said, "Oh, it's like CS:GO surfing," everyone picked it up. Everyone was just like, "Oh, I'm not meant to walk, I'm meant to surf it." Because a lot of people, I feel like, they felt like they were walking. So it was trying to reach that balance between making it feel like it was gliding, like you were walking on wet glass, or physically walking, which was in the grainier levels. So we tried to strike that balance, like when the arms come up, obviously.
Oh.
And there you go!
I recognise that Windows environment.
Yeah, so this is a cut area, but we put it in the game because it's so
It's
special
beautiful.
and iconic. But this was planned to be a hub area, and those portals that we've seen throughout the game are shortcuts.
Yeah.
And just an idea into the greater idea of Fatalware is that these would open up to, the documents, the music, the pictures, and all of those levels would have had their own identities similar to the downloads folder, which is where you start.
Are you going to be working further on this game?
If
That's
we're able
the
to.
hope, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would, if not now, in the future, definitely. I think one of the biggest complaints and original ideas we had for Fatalware is it should have guns in it. It was originally meant to be a boomer shooter. Don't be fooled by the name there. That's not
Just
actually
games
what
from the
that means.
90s, yeah.
But yeah, we want to hone in on everything from that era, and guns are a massive part of it. With the movement
technically,
shooter
I'm a boomer
genre.
by 1 year. Yeah, I hate to tell you
Yeah.
this, guys. But, so boomer shooter's fine with me.
Millennial shooter, I suppose. Millennials. Doom-like.
Very Gen Z thing now, isn't
Just,
it?
yeah.
Kind of
Okay,
us.
no, brilliant. Okay, look back from the game, where do you see yourselves going? How is this going to help you get into industry? Are you going to start up your own company? Are you going to try and find a job? What's your next plans? What is, and has this helped you in some way get there?
Should we go on?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's helps, like I said, like being able to put together like a longer game like this. Like you say, it took quite a while to like go through, and I've never really had that like experience before. And yeah, just learning how to work more in engine, and with like other people with different specialties and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was able to upload a lot of the work I made onto ArtStation. I got a few curious comments about the paperclip in a bikini, but that's apparently just the kind of things you have to do in game dev.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to keep working on this further. Hopefully, stick together as a team.
Yeah, no,
See if we can work it, because I've really made some long-lasting friendships working on this,
Okay.
and I've had to go massively T-shaped to bring this project to life.
Yeah.
And I think we all have.
Yeah, that would be my biggest benefit is the T-shaped element. I think this has really pushed me to make better games, and I would love to work on Fatalware. Honestly, it depends on the reception. I see games like Ultra Kill, especially Dusk. They get pretty far with their visions of recreating these old games, and I think Fatalware itself has potential.
Fingers crossed.
I'm really glad to hear about that, because I personally, I'm biased, but I love your game. I love your game. Not that I can play it, but I really love your game. You need an old man / easy mode.
Yeah.
Do you mean we need a boomer mode?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Where is the easy mode? I mean, you can adjust everything. You've got really good adjustments.
It just launches Doom.
Yeah,
Just launches. Hey, can it play Doom though? Can we put a game inside of a game? That's a good question.
If you were going to go back in time and you could see yourself as a brand new student in the first year, what would you tell yourselves?
It's an interesting question. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I guess to kind of like be more trying to push myself to work on it a bit from the start, because at the start I was basically so afraid to like touch GitHub or like work in engine or do anything like that. And I was also a bit worried about like my ideas kind of like coming across and being able to kind of like put in stuff in the game that I wanted and like the way how I imagined it. So I guess I'd say to be more forward, and hopefully in like third year, and if we continue to work on this, then I can do that a little bit more.
For me, I think it would be enjoy the struggle, because the struggle is part of learning. I felt like, especially with some of the hard surface objects we had to model, like UVing it was just a bit of like, some things you don't want to do them because you're anticipating the struggle, but when you're in the midst of working on it, you feel like you're picking up on things, and you can kind of feel yourself growing as an artist.
Flies by.
Exactly, and you do get used to it, and I think that's something that you can teach yourself to enjoy, and it just makes you a much better practitioner as a result.
Yeah, it's like the prevarication problem, but one step beyond that. When you actually get involved and get really in depth in something, it starts to move forward, and it becomes a different process from the worrying about what you need to do.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, yourself with them.
I would say to myself, teamwork is shared work, and when you go into these things, you shouldn't really, well, you should obviously, but not just focus on your one role. We had quite a few absent roles from the group, and everyone picked up their slack, and we've got this. So, yeah, on the
Okay.
as you come out of it, come out more skilled and professional. So,
Yeah,
it's their loss.
wins all around. Their loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've heard a bit about the characters. Can you pick a favourite each?
Oh no, that's asking me to pick between my favourite
yeah,
limb.
I think everyone loves Perry, but I do like
Get it on
Perry.
screen, actually.
I also do like Bob as well.
Ah, Bob.
Yeah,
Oh,
which you didn't
yeah.
actually see.
There's Bob. Yeah.
There's Bob.
Bobby, sorry.
To be honest, I've forgotten about Bob.
Yeah, I think Bob is literally in the corner. When we were making him, we tried to make him seem pathetic.
Yeah, but I think that is Bob's problem, isn't it? Everybody forgets about Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob
He's
is.
feeling quite lonely and disconnected
Yeah.
with the world.
I'd love to make a room for him though, actually. because
Yeah,
when
Bob
I
needs a room.
Yeah,
Bob does need a room. I
He's
do
forgotten
agree.
by everyone, truly.
yeah, when I was creating the rooms, I noticed that Bob was actually the only one who had an official Microsoft room.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it would be great to reference.
Yeah.
But obviously we didn't have the time.
Yeah, he was based on Microsoft Bob, which is a piece of software that came out. It was basically meant to teach older people how to use computers by putting it in a friendlier sort of UI. It would station it like a house, and then you had this little golden retriever that would tell you, I can write a note. Would you like to send an email? I can do that too.
Yeah, no, I was there. I remember.
Yeah.
It was, how do you turn this off? Was everybody's
Well,
first
wait.
question.
Yeah.
Google. How do you? Well, it wasn't
Well,
Google.
no.
It was
Netscape Navigator.
Yeah.
we
So
go.
Ask Jeeves. It's probably before that even.
Ask
wasn't
Jeeves still exists.
It? Does it?
It does.
Yeah,
Really?
browser, right?
Wow. Okay.
That and Ask. Ask.com is still a thing as well, which I'm internally in awe by. So we try to base the personalities around the public perception of their software, as well as kind of how their software behaved. So when I was creating Bobby, I wrote all his dialogue, I designed him. I tried to make him seem quite pathetic. He was a useless piece of software that's discontinued within the year.
Yeah. He looks like he feels useless.
Yeah, because he is useless, and I hate him. Not really, Bobby, I love you.
So
Yeah.
who's your favourite character then? So we've
I
got Bobby. Sorry.
Bobby. I definitely think my favourite's Perry. He was the
Okay.
first character we produced. I think I still have the first sketch I ever made of Perry.
Yeah. Perry's been a real developed along the line of the game. He's been with us since the start. So,
He's a fan favourite.
but no, my favourite's Bowser.
Okay.
Not just to round it off, but I think characterizing such a villain, caused so much harm into this monkey. It's just something. Purple monkey.
Let's before we wind up, let's just think about what you're going to go on. What's your next step? What do you plan on making next or working on separate from this? Because you're going to be doing some more, yeah? Mm-hmm. Have you got any ideas? Have you thought about how you might put a team together? What are your thoughts on how you're going to progress forwards now?
We do have a few concepts of some enemies, actually. So we had concepts of things like a virus, like a worm that would chase you around.
Yeah.
And that was something you'd have to flee from. It would basically jump over you. Think of the giant sandworms in Doom.
Yeah.
They'd follow you around. We had more dupes from different games. So we had the Fake Ranger, definitely not the Quake Ranger. We had the Morgs, who were definitely not the Zergs from StarCraft. And then we had the Schmonclave, which was not the Enclave from Fallout. Absolutely not, no. They were going to be enemies. When we changed it to a more parkour exploration-based game, we thought perhaps maybe they could chase you through parkour, but ultimately that wasn't something we could implement. So I think maybe if we were to take the game further, we'd have them as maybe enemies.
Yeah, no, definitely. I want to bring more life into the world, and a big next step would be getting more people in the team
Well,
to take roles.
Thank you very much. I very much enjoyed being your supervisor on this.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good game. I enjoyed it right from the beginning, and you sold it to me in the first time we met. So well done. You're good at pitching as well, and that's something that's really important. So can we all give a round of applause to Fatalware? Well, I'm happy to be able to see you some more going forward. So thank you very much for coming and demoing your game. As I said, I very much enjoyed it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.